Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Robert Timmons Show. Today's guest is Rousawn Dozier, a speaker, author, coach, consultant, and mindset architect, a nickname he earned from his coaching clients. As a master storyteller, Rousawn Dozier wows audiences with passion, humor, and his dynamic approach on living a life of purpose. Individuals, teams, and corporations have been impacted by his real, relational, and transparent messages on how to be the architect of their minds and lives. He trains and equips audiences to overcome fixed mindsets, limiting beliefs, and fear by introducing them to his C5 mindset framework. Hey, welcome, Rousawn. How you doing today?
What's up, brother, man? Excited to be here. That introduction, I'm like, who is that guy? Who is that? That's cool. I'm excited to be here, pumped up, man. Thank you for having me on your awesome show.
Excellent. And where are you calling in from today?
Calling in from West Virginia, the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. So we're like a tri-state. Maryland's 5 minutes to the north, Virginia 5 minutes to the south, but West Virginia nonetheless, the greatest state in the United States, though a lot of people don't agree with that. It's all good though, man. I'm calling in from West Virginia, man.
Well, who are they, right? You live
Yeah,
there. As long as you agree with that, that's the best part.
that's the best part, man.
Well, we thank you for being here today. And I really want to get into start off our talk with this cool nickname you have, Mindset Architect. And what does that exactly mean? Why are your coaching clients calling you that?
Man, the nickname kind of came up a couple of years ago, and I was like, "I'll get out of here. I don't even know what it means." But when one of my clients broke it down to me, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And yes, I'm going to use that going forward. He was like, the thing, Rashawn, is when I drive and I see someone building a building, he said, it's always awesome. He said, I'm always looking at it and all because I don't have any, skills to build. He said, but something dawned on me. It's like, before they start throwing up this huge structure, there was a group of people who laid out and very intentionally, specifically, and strategically designed the structure before it was built. And he says, I feel like that's what you've helped me do with my mind. I feel like you helped me design in my mind what it is that I want to build for myself in the real world. He said, so that's why I call you the mindset architect. I said, boom, and that's why you're my client. I said, and I'm keeping that, but it's true, man. I just want to help people design here first in their mind, their goals, their dreams, to see themselves big enough, to see themselves worthy, and make it real here first. And then you'll begin to experience it in the real world. So that's essentially, in short, why I'm the mindset architect. And it was a nickname that's been given to me, and I love it. And I'm just going to roll with it.
Oh, that's awesome. I can feel your energy already. And I think that's great. I know it's early in the morning for us, but to have that energy just sets the whole day, I'm sure.
It does, man.
So how are you going about creating this architecture for someone? How are you coaching them to say, "Hey, this is kind of what you do, and this is how we're going to start building it for you"?
Yeah. So to me, more than anything with my clients, I'm pretty selective on who I work with. But for me, it's getting them to understand that they have already accomplished everything that they want. And it's the wildest thing. They're like, no, I'm kind of coming to you because I need help. I'm like, no, if you recognize that you've already accomplished it in your mind. And so we reverse engineer everything. We go to the place where they want to be. Right. So my question is, what does it feel like when you have 200 employees? What does it feel like when you've hit the financial goal? What does it feel like when you're serving your family? And we go to that place in our mind where they're already experiencing the emotion and the energy and the reward that comes with everything. And then we reverse engineer it back to where we are now. Because when I can get you to feel that it's real, now the habits and the disciplines and the desires, everything that's going to take to accomplish it, they begin to be integrated, and it's easier to work toward the goal because we recognize that, wow, I've already felt the feeling of being successful. I felt the feeling of being there, whatever it is that I want to accomplish. And now we can begin creating and cultivating a strategic plan of action, aka mindsets, to get there. But that's what I do with my clients. I said, let's go to the place you want to be. And yep, we may be 3 years away from it in reality, but in terms of our minds, man, our mentality, we can be there right now. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize, it's almost the word gratitude, right?
Mm,
You know, you can be grateful for that place you're going to be in 3 years now.
mhm,
And by
mhm.
doing that, you're opening your heart up to that. You're already saying you have it. It's
Yeah,
there. And, the power, like you say, that power of your mind is incredible.
right,
But you need people like yourself to help open that up for people,
yeah.
to show them that door, because it's definitely an opportunity. When someone comes and works with you, I'm sure it's like a massive opportunity that opens up more doors.
Oh
Do you
man.
agree with that?
100%. And I tell my clients, listen, a lot of them are successful already in business. And I said, man, your greatest asset is your mindset. And I said, when you recognize the power that exists within your mind, and it exposes them to completely different areas of their life that they never even thought that they would experience. They're like, wow, I didn't recognize that my mindset was more valuable than my skill set, because a lot
Mm,
of them were big on skill set and let me acquire this skill and let me acquire this certification. I'm like, no, 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 no. Your skill set will set you back if your mindset's not in place. So when we begin to get that thing right, and you said it, gratitude and being grateful for something I haven't accomplished yet is so far out for the majority of people. But anyone that you talk to that's achieved any level of success recognizes that, man, it was me being grateful for this moment 10 years ago. And
absolutely.
that's what has aligned me in the universe. And we talked about earlier before we started the podcast, we kind of talked about our vibrations and our energies and everything being connected. And when I'm grateful in this season where I'm going to be 4 years from now, man, it aligns me with that thing. So yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. So, can you break down what a master storyteller is for our audience and how it helps you engage your audience with passion, humor, and give dynamic approach on living life on purpose? There's a lot there. I know there's a lot there. And I know we could probably do a whole hour on just
Yeah.
this question, but what can you bring us here on this one?
Man, to me, storytelling is the greatest thing ever, right? Like storytelling I tell people, like, you don't have to stand on the stage like we do to be a storyteller. You don't have to write books to be a storyteller. I mean, if you're a parent, you tell stories to your kids, things that you've heard from mom, dad, grandpa. I mean, you tell stories to people in the grocery store when we're allowed to go to the grocery store and actually talk to people, but like it's one of those things. Storytelling is so important. And for me, as a communicator, it has become the thing that I've worked on. It's the thing that I lean into. Is in West Africa, there's something it's called a griot. It's a griot. Essentially, what a griot is a person who the ancient stories lies with them. And we're talking several hundred years ago. A person would be born, and they would say this person is the griot. So the senior griot would spend time raising and rearing this child and telling them all the stories, their ancestry, the history, the myths, the fables, everything. And this person would be the owner of the stories, and it was his or her job. Oftentimes it was her job to pass these stories on from generation to generation. So I think about that. I'm like, man, I think that we're all griots in this world. I believe that we all have a story to tell. It's all our job and responsibility to tell, because we're supposed to encourage, inspire, and impact the world one person at a time. So for me, when I go to the stage, of course, I'm talking about mindset, but how do you talk about things like neuroscience and quantum physics in a way that people are going to understand? And you do that through telling stories. You do that through taking people to very specific times in your life. Like when I'm in the laundry room, grew up in Section 8 housing. We didn't have much. We were on government assistance. My mom worked all the time. As a kid, my dad wasn't in my life. And I can remember walking my clothes down the stairs and to a shared laundry area that we had. Uh, 8 tenants in the building shared the same shoe washer and dryer, and it cost money to wash the clothes. So we didn't always have enough money to get our clothes washed, but when we did, my mom would send me down with one instruction: put the clothes in the washer and do not leave. Because people would come in oftentimes and steal the clothes out of the washer and dryer.
Mm.
And I'd go in there, and I'm 8 years old, and I'm putting the change in, and I'm getting our clothes started. And I would put the clothes in and sit down and put my back against the door, so that I could have my eyes on anyone who's coming into the laundry room. And here I am, 8 years old, 12 pounds soaking wet, and I was willing to fight anyone who came to take what was mine.
Wow.
And I walk people through this story, and I don't just tell them the story, but I tell them what the washing machine sounded like as it clinked. Like every third spin, it would just clink, and it smelled weird. I can't get the smell out of my mind, and I walked them through what it looked like visually. But I'm doing that because it created a mindset within me that I'm willing to fight for the things that are important to me. And I walked them through these because here's the thing. Your experiences may not have been my experience, but at the same time, you have something from a very young age that's cultivated and crafted your mindset. And when I can get you to tap into that thing through my story, now we can lean into the principles that I have to say. So being a master storyteller, it's my responsibility as a communicator to be that master storyteller so that I can get you to lean in to what it is that I have to share, but also so that you can understand it, having walked through your own story. And yeah, I mean, we do that kind of stuff with humor. We have a lot of fun and we laugh a lot, but sharing the story is really about getting you to connect with yourself so that you
Mm.
can lean into me. That's what it's all about.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love that answer. And you're right. We just met today and we've already talked about a few stories that showed each other that were relatable in a lot of ways. And you're absolutely right when you say, that's how we've been communicating like that forever through song,
Hmm.
you know, stories are in songs and people remember songs, but we're at that point where those songs are so old that we may not know the origination of why. But
Right.
when you find out, that story is pretty intense. And
100%.
it may not be happening now, but we've created these different stories amongst those, and
Oh,
they've traveled over hundreds of years.
think
You
about
know,
that. I mean, if you think about exactly what you just said, like how long these stories have traveled, maybe the origin's a little bit off, but for the most part, 80% of the story is still there, just as it was 400 or 500 years ago. And you think about, whether it's the Bible that you read or Quran or whatever the case is, it's just a combination of stories, right?
absolutely.
And if they have withstood the test of time, and that is why storytelling is so powerful. So if you're watching it, if you're an author, if you're a speaker, if you're a leader of any, get your ability to tell stories down. Because it's really the stories that are going to live on through your organization, through your family, and it's stories that move the emotions of people. And if you can get the hearts and emotions of people, then you can help direct them in the desired direction that you want them to go, to take action on their lives, to take action in wherever they want. But if you can tell a great story, you can get the hearts of people. And that's always my goal when I take the stage or I turn on a camera. It's how can I tell a story to relate to people and inspire them to take action in their life?
Excellent. And I want to really touch base on this unique story. I do agree with you. Everybody has their own story, and everybody's story is unique through their own experiences,
Mhm.
through their own, life challenges. And some are still in that story.
Mm.
So what I mean by that is it's people like yourself that tell your story that relates to them and pulls them out of theirs in a empowering manner. And that's why people like yourself telling those stories are so powerful to help change lives, to empower, to create a better journey for them, to bring them into challenges where they're stronger now.
Yeah, yeah,
They've gotten pulled out and now they're, because if you're learning, you're always in challenges, right? You agree with
always.
that?
Oh my, I said something a year ago at a high school, and it didn't make sense until a little bit later. I said, if you're learning, you're losing. And they're like, what? I said, if you're learning, you're losing, but and the loss itself is a lesson. It's a challenge, it's a struggle, it's an obstacle. And that's how we can when you begin to see obstacles, it's like, hold on a second, when my mindset shifts and I'm now seeing opportunity
Mm.
and I'm leveraging the loss, or I'm leveraging the lesson to get me through the obstacle. So yeah, man, I feel like most people shy away from the challenge though in life. Like it's the challenge that makes people afraid, and I'm like, no, the challenge should encourage you because it's in that you're going to learn something new about yourself through this.
Yeah, if you're starting into something, you should be you instantly feel that stress, I
Hmm.
guess you could say, and that means you're on the right path because there's growth to be had.
Yeah.
And if you accept that growth, you accept those challenges coming that you don't know yet, then it becomes fun.
Oh,
And you
100%.
got to push yourself no matter how high up you are in anything in life. We are all part of challenges. We all have to continually
Yep.
learn on a daily basis, continually push our mindset, continually, keep going. Right.
100%. 100%. I mean, and you just said something that really got me. No matter where you're at, right, in life, if you could be at the summit of success, those people, men or women, are constantly looking for something else to give them that sense of like push, right? Make them uncomfortable enough to keep pushing towards something. And oftentimes, just when folks, if they reach that pinnacle and there's nothing there, they'll go find something. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
about Sir Richard Branson, who's always finding something to do, whether it's jump out of a plane, do something, puts himself in this feeling of like, okay, I'm uncomfortable. And it releases things in him that helps him be more creative, right? Helps him be more connected. And I'm like, man, if those types of people are seeking that, who am I not to every day put myself in a position where I'm uncomfortable about something? Because I'm going to grow from that.
Right. Absolutely. What a great discussion there. So now let's get into what this C5 mindset framework is about and how it trains and equips audiences to overcome fixed mindsets, limiting beliefs, and fear. And here's another loaded question, I tell you, because that last one showed us, a whole bunch of different levels. This one's a lot new. So love to hear what this framework's all about.
Yeah. So, we kind of used the illustration earlier of people building, right? And what I don't want to do is be the person in life that, with my energy and passion, I stand on a stage and I get people pumped up and I tell them what to do. You should do this, and you should go after your dreams, and you should go after your goals, and you've already got it. And do that for 45 minutes and leave. And people are like, I felt awesome, but he didn't give me the tools to go do it,
Right.
right? Because the same people who are building the buildings, they have backhoes, they have the necessary tools that they need. And what I wanted to do was, yes, inspire people and motivate them, but I needed to give them the tools to go implement the things that they need so that they can live the life that they deserve. And that's where the C5 framework came from. It's a framework that we can take and use to implement our minds, right? To grow our minds and in five key areas. Because I believe, mindset is such a broad word. That could be anything. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the C5 framework, if implemented, can help anyone, no matter where they're at, right, get started on the road to mindset mastery. And the first C for me is clarity. I teach people how to be clear, not on just what they want, because I was in a car, I was in the car 2 weeks ago, and it's pouring down raining, and for whatever reason, my windshield wipers stopped working, and it's raining, and instead of pulling over like a smart person would do, I keep kind of trying to drive, and my wife's like, "Why don't you just pull over? Are you stupid?" And I'm like, "You have no idea where you're going." And I'm like, she's so right. Like, there was no clarity, yet I'm still
Mm,
driving. And the danger is, not only could I hurt myself, I could hurt someone else when there's not
yeah.
clarity. And the same goes for our lives. It's like so many people, men and women, are building businesses, they're raising families, and they're just going day by day, and they don't know exactly where they're going. And the danger is, not only is that detrimental to you, it's detrimental to the people around you. So in the C5 framework, the first C for me is clarity. Clarity on where you're going, but also clarity on who are you, right? Who are
Mm,
you? And
right.
we live in a world of social media. It's so easy. I see you got Mel Robbins behind you, one of my favorite people. It's so easy to look at the people that we admire and want to be like them. And I'm like, no, they should inspire us to be our best selves. So we go deep on clarity. And to do that, and I mean, I've used the DISC assessment a lot. I'm certified in that. So we walk through, hey, who are you? And now we get clarity on where you're going. But we
Mm,
start with, why are you going there? Right. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. Why do you want to achieve the success? Why do you want to hit your goals? And we go deep on clarity. But then once we hit that clarity piece, we switch to the second C, which is conversations, right? And both internal and external conversations, and just how powerful the words that you use on a daily basis are. And I want to teach people to master conversations, And believe it or not, this is the trickiest part, because not only do people have limiting beliefs, they tend to have limiting beliefs and fixed mindsets because they've talked themselves into it. And their brains have created these patterns that, well, the brain just listens to you. So when you say things to yourself like, man, if I were talented enough, or I'm not smart enough, and that person's better than I am at this, well, your brain starts to believe that. And what it does is creates these patterns in your brain that you can only achieve this, this, or this. And then what happens is those internal conversations start to manifest and become external conversations. So now not only are you thinking these things, you're
Now
speaking
you're
these things.
saying it. Yeah.
And you've drawn a circle and permanent marker around your life, and you wonder why you can't get out. It's your internal and external conversation. So we walk through the power of conversations, and then we skip and we go straight to the third C, which is consumption. Consumption. I've gained 7 pounds during this quarantine. And I don't wake up in the morning, I'm not like, man, I wonder why I've gained 7 pounds. Bro, you're eating things that you typically don't eat. Like, you're not moving as much, and you're eating things. So it's not a surprise. Like, you've gained 7 pounds because you're consuming things that you shouldn't consume.
Right.
And where people in lives and their mindsets, where they get caught up, is because it's like, man, I wonder why I feel so bogged down. I feel so negative. My question is, well, what are you consuming? Let's walk through what you're consuming, because honestly, the way you feel shouldn't surprise you. And when you walk through what you're consuming, well, I'm on Facebook for like 7 hours a day. What are you consuming on Facebook? Oh, wow. So you're not doing anything to enrich your spirit and grow your mind and shift your perspective. So you're consuming and you feel like the things that you're consuming. So we walk through the power of consumption, and we go deep on things that you can consume to grow you, right? We talk about avocados and their diets. So you can put those things into your mind as well. Why don't
Yep.
you listen to the Timmons podcast? Like, with the people, the men and women that he interviewed. Why don't you listen to Lewis Howes? Why don't you get around some folks who are having higher level conversations, and you'll see that your frequency changes, and you'll start to shake off the way that you feel, because now you're consuming things that are conducive with growth. So we go that way. And then the
Well,
next,
if I just throw something in there, especially at this time, the COVID,
oh,
the
come on.
news, people who consume the news, especially in the morning, that just the morning sets your day. It's such a crucial moment of your life, is what you do in the morning.
Come on.
I'm a huge advocate of that.
That's a whole message right there. Like, we could probably just go for the next 30, 40 minutes talking about
Absolutely. Let's
morning.
do it. All right, we're on.
Yeah, we're on. Let's go. And it's like the morning routine itself. And you study high level folks. I know that I do as well. And the one thing that they're consistent on, that they're protective of, that's a non-negotiable, is how they start their day.
Absolutely.
And it's so to the point where some of them, like Adriana Huffington, she doesn't even sleep with her phone in the room. It's she calls it the phone and technology parking lot, that she places her stuff there, and she doesn't touch it until 3 hours after she wakes up. And it's like, to allow yourself to be alone with yourself, to walk through your routine, to meditate, to pray, to work out. And I tell my clients this: open yourself up to you before you open yourself up to the world. And
Absolutely.
and what happens is, when we pull out our phones first thing in the morning, you said it. Now it's like, anything that's on the other side of that screen is completely out of your control. And whether consciously or subconsciously, it is going to impact you some way or another. And you said it, the news is, no matter how you spin it these days, man, the news, it's sad. It's heavy. It's dark. And if we wonder, well, why am I feeling heavy and sad and slow? It's, what did you consume? So no, that's a great point. So the morning routine is so important. And I'd encourage people to listen. Don't touch your phone until at least an hour after you're up, man. If you have a meditation app or something, you sure, but don't go to the news, don't go to social media.
Yep.
Spend some time with you. So we talk about, after consumption, we talk about consistency. And this is where we get the opportunity to walk through things like habits and things to do to be more efficient. And we talk about discipline and doing what it is that you said you were going to do long after the feeling that you have when you said it is gone. And these are things that anybody can really master, but we have to be intentional on working on these things daily. And to my surprise, Robert, as I talk to a lot of high level individuals, C-level executives, who their consumption is off or their consistency is off, I'm like, if you could just get these things going and be consistent in these, you'd be fine. So we work through that. And then the last thing, the pillar of the C5 is community, and how vital our community is to our growth. I've seen so many men and women, entrepreneurs, young and old, be killing it across the board. But then they kind of dip off over time, and then you check in with them, and they're still surrounded with people who have this the old mindsets, the fixed mindsets, the limiting beliefs, the doubts, the people who speak negativity over not just their lives, but so they're caught up in the energies are off, right? So their person's operating at a high frequency, but over time the frequency comes down because their community hasn't changed. And I
Right.
said, man, you have to put yourself in the community. Doesn't have to be physically, but I have to talk to people like Robert. I have to make sure that I'm intentional in spending time around people with high vibrations, right? People that I can talk to about what's going on in my life and it doesn't sound like bragging. People that I can talk about what's going on and they say, okay, perfect example here. I had a friend who climbed Mount Everest.
Wow.
And yeah, and I just met him about 4 months ago. He climbed Mount Everest about 3 years ago. And he was living in New Jersey at the time that he traveled and climbed. And he came home and he says, everybody was celebrating him. They were like, this is incredible. This is awesome, man. You do that once, you'll never have to do it again.
Mhm.
And it was a huge deal. I mean, it was in the newspaper. He had to talk with the mayor. It was huge. But then he moved to Boulder, Colorado, where they are active outdoorsmen and women and they climb. And he got out there and he told people, "Why I climb Everest and da 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 da." And the question they had for him was, how fast did you do it? How fast how fast did you do it? And he shared, and the guy was 63 years old. He said, "Oh yeah, when I was 45, I climbed it in half that time." And
Wow.
the difference is the community had changed. Like these people affirmed him and celebrated, and this side critiqued him and helped grow him. And now he's on a quest to go back and do it even faster. And I think about community. I want to be around people who ask me, "Rashawn, how fast did you do it though?" Like
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. There's something to be proud of, but how fast did you do it? I
But
want
they push you.
exactly.
Yeah, they're
And
not saying just okay, you did it, that's it. Like they were saying in Jersey, oh, you did it, you don't have to ever do it again.
yeah,
Or the other ones are like, all right, now try this, now try this, now try this.
exactly, man.
You know,
Exactly. So intentionally putting yourself around people who, yeah, celebrate you, but they push you. And that's what the C5 framework's all about. This kind of high level, and we walk through those. And there's times I go give talks, and we only talk about one or two of those
mm,
because you can go deep on each
absolutely.
one. But yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's really become my passion to help people become the architects of their mind using that framework.
Yeah, those pillars are definitely important. Each one has so much detail, like you said. You can go on so deep into each one, and I'm sure within each one, everybody's got a little bit of it, but some might be stronger than others, like you said. And then you try and pick up those ones that aren't, and try
Hmm.
and see how it adjusts and changes. And I'm sure it does massive wonders. It brings up. We were talking about stuff, and it brings up a thought. When I was immigrating. My wife's American, so I was immigrating from Canada over to the States. And my mind already said, I'm already there, right?
Hmm.
I was already saying, I'm already there. And my mom goes, no, you're not there yet. And my mom's old mindset,
Yeah.
massive. Like she even says, I'm stuck in my ways, right?
Oh boy.
And
Yeah.
that's massively fixed. Her routine's the same, everything's the same. And I accept that, meaning I take everything for like a grain of salt, as they say, right? Like I love my mom, and I see she was a hard worker, 4 jobs,
Yeah.
throughout raising 3 children by herself. So I respect her on so many fronts, and I think I got some of that of her, except the part of what I put my work into
Yeah.
instead of just giving my time for cash,
Yep.
right? So she would always say, I go, Mom, you got to get your passport. And she'd be like, you're not there yet. You're not there yet. Mom, I'm there already. And she didn't understand that. And as soon as I got here, I kept saying, did you get your passport yet? No, I haven't got it yet. And I go, Mom, I'm here now.
Mm, mm. Oh, that
you know?
what you just said is fire, man. Like you said, I'm here now, but you all also said, Mom, I'm already there.
Yeah.
So you were there before you were physically there. And man, yeah, you just unpacked something. Your mom saying, I'm set my ways. This is how I am. I hear that all the time from
Mm-hmm.
people in my family. But let me ask you, I know you're asking the questions here, but when you say you were already there. I'm already there. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that changes everything. Changes my vibration within me. It makes me focus on the details of being there. It makes me focus on the love, the environment, being with my
Yeah,
wife,
yeah,
waking up every day. It makes me grateful about that energy that I'm already feeling as if I'm there,
yeah, yeah.
right? And then I just have to go through the reality of where I am. And when you do that, which I know you know, but for the listeners, I'm attracting it as much as it's attracting me.
Boom.
So I'm pulling it to me because I'm becoming comfortable with that environment that I don't have yet.
Yeah, that
I'm putting myself in that position.
man. I can feel your energy as you're saying that. What you just explained is quantum.
Mm-hmm.
Quantum, that's quantum. What you just said, when you said in your mind that I am already in America, I can already feel the love, the energy, I can see it, and you open your eyes, it makes the process to getting there so much easier now. Because I can endure it because now it's coming into me. Your mind has essentially become a magnet, and it
Right.
truly is a law. It's called the law of attraction, and it's based off the law of vibration because your frequency changed and it goes higher. So the thing is people who operate on a certain frequency, like a lot of people in my family who the things that I do, they're not used to. Like I say I don't work for money. I exchange value, right? I exchange value. I operate my passion. I exchange value, and the value that I exchange has monetary resources that comes back to me. So I don't know how many hours I put in this week. They're like, "Well, how many hours you work?" I don't know. I don't know. I don't exchange time for money. I operate on a higher frequency than
Mm.
that. And to your point, it pulls things into my life. Like this conversation that you and I are having, it's here because the universe has recognized that we operate on a similar frequency, and when we got on that frequency, we come together. And that's literally what happens. And people are wondering, oh man, I want to be able to achieve this in life and this in life. Well, the things that you're looking to achieve are on another frequency up
Right.
there. So you have to change your frequency. And in order to do that, you need to change your mentality, experience what it feels like to already be there. And it brings you up to the point where, yes, now you're on the same frequency, and you just need to wait and work until you meet that thing that you're desiring because it's coming.
And to go further with that, that ended up being my why.
Mm,
And the reason I'm saying that is because I want everybody to understand that that immigration took 18 months of me separated
mm,
from my wife,
mm,
right? She was living up in Canada. That didn't work out. She went back and we figured it'd be 5, 6 months max. Well, that ended up being 18 months. So by saying I'm already there, by doing all that, feeling it, that was my why. That was my
mm,
pull because the challenges that came about in that 18 months were horrific in some manners. And I just said, no, I'm there. I'm there. I
mm.
always kept saying that. That was my why. That was my why. And it pulled me through such things that I could have gave up. I could have gave up. My wife would have been in the States. I would have been in Canada. We probably wouldn't be married anymore.
Mm.
That was the result of me giving up if I allowed it to. And that's what everybody needs to understand, that when you're there, you got to be driven to success. And I feel that that's what's in me. I have a lot of that. And when you start looking back and you see these little bits of stuff that you've driven to success, even if it's an A on a test, for an example, that's success. And you can tap into that as an example that you've done it already in some manner, even as small as it is. And that will help you get through when it becomes a bigger thing.
Oh yeah,
So that's kind of what, yeah, I
man,
just want to
dude.
bring that up
That
so the listeners understand
that
a little bit
that that
more.
that, that was beautiful, man. I appreciate you opening the door for that conversation. And these are things, Robert. These are things that everybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You may not be immigrating. You may not be starting a business. Maybe you're waiting for a spouse. Man, you're already married. I'm already married. I'm already happy. I already have children. Man, we're already going to Disney World. And I know it sounds crazy, but it is not. These are actual laws that the universe has that allows you to achieve everything that you want. Now, Robert saying he was already there. He's already with his wife. He's already in America. Like he is right now, but he was already there, which made the obstacles that came before him opportunities to take him closer to where he wanted to be. So man, I love it, man. These are real mindset hacks, if you will, that are available to you, just like they are. You name some of the most successful people in the world that practice these things, they are also available to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the internet helps in so many ways. But let's get into, you have a book,
Mhm.
right? And your book's called Can I Just Start Over? Tell us a bit about that. Give us your synopsis of your book.
Yeah, and the book was written in 2019. It didn't launch until 2020, but it was written in 2019, before I even really knew what COVID or coronavirus was.
Right.
But the title itself stuck with me because I had so many people who would come in my inbox on Instagram. And I'm like, man, if I could just start over, I would do this, this, and this. If, man, I wish I could go back and do it all over again. And literally, I got to the point where they wrote my title. And can I just start over? It's just a play on words. No, you can't start over. But the beauty of it is that you can start now. You can start now. And the subtitle is leveraging lessons from past hardships to design your ideal future. Like you should thank God and be grateful for everything that you've gone through, because what it does is has given you a perspective. It's helped you pull lessons out of life, and now it's like having a cheat code. You can apply these things to the future moves that you make. So the book itself is not necessarily a mindset book, or not the book that I wanted to write initially. What it became is a very transparent story of my life and things that I've walked through. I mentioned being raised by a single mom and the government assistance. And what I didn't mention is that I was a poor student, man, that I was a womanizer in high school, that there's so many things that I did wrong. But in hindsight, I was able to leverage these lessons and see the things that I did wrong and just move differently going forward. And I've laid those things out in 9 steps in my book, 9 principles that I was able to do. These things aren't theoretical, they're very practical and applicable. And people have been reading it, and I think it's really been impacting people. The feedback has been incredible. So much so that we just wrapped up building out a digital on demand course that's going to be coming out for the book, because the principles are so easy. But that's what the book's all about. Start tools to start now, essentially.
Hmm. Well, people need that simplicity at times, but the complexity underneath that, we understand how much that can change
Yeah.
someone, because we all, a lot of times you talk to people, they go, I know, I know, I know, no, I know, I know. But
Mhm.
the problem is, you're not doing anything with it,
There it is.
right? They sound simple. You think they're so simple, you don't need to do them.
Mhm.
But the problem is, because they're so simple, it shows you that you do need to do them. They're there for those steps. They're there to take you further, because for some reason you're blocked. You have a limiting belief of, this is all I have. This is who I am.
Yeah.
But you're not realizing, who are you becoming,
That's
right?
that's the
Who
key.
am I becoming? That's the key to these simple steps. You want to take these steps so you can become that person you want to become. The purpose, like we talked about, you start stepping towards that purpose
There you
of
go.
who you are, your unique purpose.
Come on. Robert, I tell people all the time when they tell me everything that they've gone through, and I'm empathetic and I lean in, and they tell me everything that they lost. Then my question's always, what did you gain?
Mm,
What did you gain? Let's shift our mindsets, right? Let's talk about now, not what we lost, but what we gained. And when we begin having that conversation, they're like, well, I gained some perspective. Well, I didn't realize I was that strong. I didn't realize that I was that smart. I'm saying, do you see what you're doing here? You see what the universe has given you? It has given you an opportunity to grow. You didn't go through this, you've grown through this. So now we're going to leverage these things to propel you into your promise, your potential, your purpose, your calling. That's what we're going to do now. And you're right. It's oftentimes not the complex things. That's underneath the surface. It's the very simple things. I say information can change situations as long as there's implementation.
mm,
And it's implementing the small things, but that's the scary part, Robert. Is that sometimes the things seem so trivial that it's like, "Oh, I don't need that. When are you going to tell me the things that I really need?" It's like, No, wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. I don't want to wax on and wax off anymore until
Yeah.
somebody throws a punch at your face. And you're like, oh, that was,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's the small things. It's never the big things that we see, CEOs and owners do. It's like, oh man, I would love to send rockets into space like Elon Musk. It's like, wax on, wax off.
That's right. It
Like,
all starts there.
that's where it starts, man. That's
Yeah.
where it
It's
starts.
like a compass. You change it by 1 degree, you could be off by a mile down the road,
Woo! Come on.
right?
I love that analogy, man. I
You
love it.
know? And that simple step of that 1 degree could be just stepping up onto something small. It's like the butterfly wings, right? They say the beauty of the butterfly wings, could create a hurricane on the other side of the world, right?
Mm,
Because it just flaps so much that that vibration gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
mm.
And that's the simplicity of things.
I love
So
that,
I
man.
this book sounds incredible. And where can people get that book?
Yeah, so right now it's available on Amazon. Can I just start over? I believe you can get on my website as well. The team, we've set that up, RousawnDozier.com, and you can get it there. It would be an honor if you read it. It's truly one of those things that it was very therapeutic for me to write it with a lot of the things that I've gone through, and I know it'll bless you. So yeah, it's available on Amazon.
That's cool. At least people know where to go get it. I want to make sure that they understand that they can check that out and get your 9 steps, to add more value to their lives. Okay, so we shared the C's, the 5 pillars. Was it 5 C's, right?
Yeah,
Clarity. Yeah. Okay.
clarity, conversations, consumption, consistency, and community.
Now, I was gonna, I always like ending with some action tips. I don't know if you have some action tips ready. I know those those C's are just incredible and they're so deep, on top of your mindset framework as well. But if you have some, something that people can take away right now and put into their life, implement, and
Mm,
get some action going.
mm. Okay, yeah. So thank you for asking that. It was one of those things, when you just asked, I immediately went to the 10th chapter in the book, Becoming the Architect. And man, it's a journey. It looks different for all of us. It looks different for me than it does for you, Robert, but we're all on a journey to growth, right? We want to meet our potential. And I believe you can do these things. Three simple things, and it's going to look different for all of us. But the first thing is you got to dream it up, and don't dream small. I mean, lay on your bed by yourself or sit down in a quiet area and dream the biggest, most audacious goals and dreams that you can possibly dream. I mean, and see yourself and experience yourself being able to build a house for someone or give a car away or send someone to college or whatever that thing is. Dream that, put yourself there and be bold enough to dream big. And
With
then
no
once you,
judgment on your dream either.
oh man, I like that. No judgment on your dream. I'm dream crazy big.
Hmm.
And then once you do, now we're going to start reverse engineering. We're going to begin to design that. And that's where I come in. I help people literally design the framework around what is it do I need to do now? Right? I've these huge, big, audacious goals that I haven't shared. I've been embarrassed to share. What do I do? But we design it. What does it look like? And we sit down and we break these things down. And you can do this on your own. Break them down. I kind of break them down to faith, family, finance, fitness, and freedom.
Wow.
I kind of break them down to these areas. I'm like, okay, this is my goals and my faith, and then my finances, and then I break them down and I just create plans. Right? And are they going to work? No, not all of them are going to work. But the cool thing is that we get to make adjustments. And
Hmm.
what you begin doing is growing this confidence because, man, I've dreamed it, I've designed it, and now I'm working toward my dreams. I'm learning more about myself. Man, I'm meeting different people that I wouldn't have met before because my frequencies change. And that's the thing. So you dream it, you design it, and you do it. You do it. And it's okay to fail. I think that's the most exciting thing is failure. Not because I want to fail, but because, man, I learned something about myself every day. I give myself permission to be vulnerable, permission to fail. You dream it, you design it, and you do it. And it's a cycle, and you keep going until you're no longer here on this earth.
I
And
think I heard something like, what do you want to fail in today?
mm,
It's a different way of looking at things because people see failure as such a negative thing.
don't they? Don't they?
Failure is
Look,
only negative if you choose to stop.
come on. Hey, Robert, but that's how we've been conditioned, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like we go to school and nobody wanted to come home with the big D or F in red circled on their paper and then we'd be scolded and we're embarrassed. So now we're striving for perfection, not realizing that it was in the F that I learned, like, hold on, maybe spelling's not my gift. Maybe I
Mm.
should be over in theater. Maybe that's my gift. And you fail and you learn every single time. And the one thing I want people to do, I'm doing for my kids, is give yourself permission. I love what you just said. Where you want to fail today? Like me asking my 8-year-old, babe, where you want to fail at today? Let's go fail at something.
Yeah.
Because my goodness, how cool would that be to every day we're learning on that scale and gaining
Mm-hmm.
confidence on that scale, man.
Just push yourself as hard as you can. As long as you put that try in the best you can and you fail, well, you learn something and you can move on from there.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. See, I think a lot of people forget that the journey is where you learn, and that's, if you get there or if you don't get there, you just learn something
Come
no
on.
matter what.
That's what it's about. I tell people the prize itself is in the process.
Yeah.
It's never really in the destination. It's in the process and what you learned. And one of the first books I ever read was The Alchemist. And what he realized is that everything he was looking for it actually was where he started, but it was the journey that he grew and he learned and he got beat up and he won and he lost and he had success and it took him all the way back to where it started because the prize was in the process the entire time.
Oh, absolutely. And to add that goes along with your storytelling too, right? The journey is the story.
Yeah.
And I used to travel all over the world back in the day with, helping a conservationists and stuff. And things would happen, you know, luggage would get lost or something. And if I was with someone, I'd say, hey, it's all part of the story. It's all part of the story. And I would stay happy, smiling, going, this is awesome. It's all part of the story, because when you're done, you have a story to tell now,
Come on. And
you
people
know?
probably looked at you like you were crazy. But when you live on that vibration, it's like, oh, bro, that's part of the story. That's great. Like it can't rattle me because I recognize that I'm just a part of the story, right?
Yep.
And all I can do is continue to move forward. And it's all a story to tell. It's going to inspire some people. It's going to encourage some people, but it's just a part of the story.
That's right. You have no control of what happens around you except for how you react to it,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
And that's if you're reacting in hey, this is the way it's supposed to happen, then you're going to have a great day and you're going to take all that in.
That's it, man. And it's all about what we talked, kind of goes back to what we talked about frequency and vibration and energy. I say people emulate the energy that you radiate. So if I'm radiating this energy that's like so excited, enthusiastic about life, you can't help but to be around me and get some of that. And
Yeah.
I want to be that. I want to be that thermostat in the room of thermometers that are taking. I want to be like, no, this is my vibration. This is my energy. And you cannot come within 12 feet of me and be upset because man, it's not possible. Like you will feel uncomfortable. You will have to try to be upset if you're around me because I'm so excited about life. I'm so enthusiastic about life, about impact, about my calling, about what it is that I'm doing. Listen, I want to be a thermostat in a room of thermometers. That's what
Dude, I can feel your energy over here, man.
and I appreciate it, man. I'm pumped up. I'm just gonna go yell at my wife soon. We're gonna go do something cool today. We're gonna get up and get moving.
All right. Well, hey, man, like I said, it's been amazing. So where can our listeners find you on social media then?
Yeah, so I am at Rousawn Dozier on all social media platforms. Connect with me, slide in my DMs, say what's up. Say, why are you yelling at your wife? No, I'm just gonna scream at her to go, let's go do something today. Trust me, she's yelling at me. And yeah, so I'm at Rousawn Dozier. Connect with me, RousawnDozier.com. If you go there, all my social links are there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Rousawn, for joining us today and sharing some cool insights of the world of mind architecture and how you engage with your audiences. Please find and follow Rousawn at all his social media. Hit him up, grab his book on Amazon. Uh, you know, Share this information because honestly, this has been an incredible conversation today with Rousawn. So much amazing golden nuggets, as they call it, that you can get. You pick up his book, I'm sure you're going to get anything more in depth than what we talked about today. And remember to follow the Robert Timmons Show, and so you don't miss any more episodes of amazing people like Rousawn coming on here and sharing value. Thank you, Rousawn. I appreciate everything that you shared today.
It's been an honor. Thanks for having me.